welcome to another episode of Planning Phase Syndicate. Thank you all so much for joining us. Tonight's episode is number 71. Wow, I can't believe we're at 71 already. The best confidence builder is experience. Tonight, we're going to be back talking about our chess versus X-Wing discussion. We're going to be going through obstacle placement, objective placement, ship placement, and forming a battle plan for your turn 0, which is essentially an opening maneuvers in chess. We're also going to be covering some of the ship predictions, some of the points increases, Jingoist, Finn, and we're going to be talking a little bit about Andor, if you would like some spoiler content after the show. With that being said, let's bring in my co-hosts. Maybe? Are they going to show up? My co-hosts for the evening, JJ and George. How are you doing, everyone?
Everybody.
Howdy.
Welcome to the show. Hopefully your weekend was good.
Sure was. It was productive.
It was productive. What'd you do this weekend?
Well, I got myself a storage unit closer to Orlando because I'm actually going to be moving back in that area. So it'll be nice going back to. Right now, I live like about an hour away. I live in Mount Dora, so yeah, it's a bit of a drive every time I want to go to town and play some X-Wing.
And I'm going to assume that the storm has bypassed you. You seem to be having internet and everything. Did you guys have a lot of destruction in your area at all, or no?
No, thankfully, we didn't have any destruction or anything like that. The worst that we suffered was like rain and not enough to flood, so that's good too. But other than that, just the internet. So in and out, power goes out, and every once in a while.
Well, that's good, and that's a really good thing because that's like always one of the headaches, right? You know, like you never know what's going to happen. You don't know how it's going to be perceived, what could do it, and it just seems like, thankfully, at least your area is not hit as hard.
Yeah.
What'd you do this weekend, JJ?
Well, I took the family out to a local farm here, actually, for some pumpkin picking. We had a great time over there. Had some food trucks over there that had some great barbecue. We just had a blast over here. I can't tell you when was the last time that I enjoyed the fall so much, because there is no fall in Florida. It's just hot with a little bit of cold sometimes around winter, and then just hot, just pure heat. There's like no fall weather. Man, it is fantastic. I've been really enjoying the weather up here. It's been great.
Well, awesome. If you were paying attention, so this weekend we had my nephew's hockey league started back up, so I got some hockey games in. We got to watch the new Hellraiser movie. That was exciting. Definitely different than the original series. So I don't know. Check it out if you like horror movies. It's horror movie season, so at least for me it is. And
is
then
it in theaters? Is that in theaters?
It was released straight into Hulu, so
okay, Hulu.
That's where we
gotcha.
watched it.
Gotcha. Okay. Cool.
And then we also played through about half the Marvel Champions new campaign for the Mutant Genesis with the X-Men. And I will tell you, like when we played the Spider-Man one, the pre-con decks inside of the box were okay. The pre-con decks for these heroes were not as good. So the first game we played, we spent an hour and a half on, which normally that's a pretty long game. And then we ended up having to rebuild a few of the decks for the campaign. But I will tell you, what is insanely fun is Cyclops. He's just like off the charts fun to play. Fun. Anyway, so let's talk a little bit about X-Wing tonight. So do we have is there any events coming up? I think GSP has their championship coming up in 2 weekends, correct?
Yeah, on the 22nd. Yes.
Yep.
JJ, you barely squeaked by with a win for that.
Yeah, I barely got my 3 wins, and then George just laid the hammer on me and took me out of the country.
So sorry. Sorry about that.
No, you're fine.
It's always the worst. And it's going to be worse this time, too, this in Exegol, because, like, as far as I know, I have, almost 5 of us, and then we
Yeah,
include you too. So like, oh my gosh, it's gonna be a mess. I hope we
I
dodge
know.
each other.
Watch it be like round one, we're like faced off, right?
Yeah.
And on stream.
Yeah, that'll be funny if it's on stream. So, quick question before we get into our first segment. If they have points changes, has Dion ruled what they're going to do?
Not that I know of.
I
But
he would have to make a game time decision just depending on when the points are released. I would assume that if it's like at least a week before the event, then yeah, we'll probably have those live point changes, which is going to completely change probably what I'm going to fly. If not, then I'll probably run the same list that I ran for the last galaxies.
I'm all about chaos, so I actually do want the points changes to be before, but we'll see.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, what I need is for one of you to run Vader Defender and win with it, so that way we can knock that off of the list. I get so sick of hearing people say, Vader Defender is so great, blah blah blah, and we're not going to get into a Vader Defender debate, but he didn't win anything yet at all. So
technically run Crate Cup, technically, but
he did not technically win Crate Cup. I asked last week because nobody could tell me how many losses Vader Defender had for that.
So actually, I found out since they were uploading all the lists and stuff for Crate Cup, Ben Doyle actually went undefeated with his list.
All right, so there you go. First time Vader Defender did anything. I agree with you, George, though. I kind of hope they have changes. I think it will make so like I have to go back and clear my schedule or clear our schedule for the stream for that weekend, because if we have points changes the week before and then this weekend we're gonna have those, the weekend after that we'll have the stream, or we're gonna have GSP Exegol and points changes all to cover at one time, and it's gonna be crazy. So I have to go back and go through all my my stream notes, because I think we're gonna have to like change our motion in the ocean this week. So hopefully we get points changes next week, and that'll make everything easier. But we will see.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yep. Oh, and it's my daughter's birthday next weekend, so JJ, George, I'm gonna need a little bit of help going through those points changes. So in the stream share doc is where we can start snipping some of the stuff. But I think like last time we didn't prepare for it. We just kind of like read through them all, and it was, I don't know, like a 2.5 hour episode.
It really was.
So
Yeah, I got
let's
you.
not do that this time. That doesn't sound like as much fun. So, all right. So to begin with, before we get into our turn 0 or our points increase discussion, I decided, excuse me, I wanted to do a little bit of something. I'm going to bring it up here on screen. I thought, what would happen, right, if we had a ship out of Andor? So the one ship that we know that's new, that has not been done in X-Wing before, is called the, what did he call it? Oh, the Mobile Tac Pod is what they called it. So it's essentially the ship that you see from Andor, where somebody pronounce that guy's name, Slytherin Karn, commands all of his troops to go to. So what I thought we'd do is, why don't we design this ship for X-Wing? So I don't know if either of you have any thoughts, or if you want me to go ahead. I laid out a little bit of what I had thought based on what the episode had, and based on what essentially the way the ship looks.
So for this particular ship, I think this is definitely a medium base. It definitely calls out like the Lat from the Republic, at least the same style, at least like the architecture design for it. As far as crew, I don't see like any gunner slots on this one, but I think this could be possibly a double or even a triple crew carrier for the Empire. In terms of dials, I would probably put it about the same dial as the lambda, at like making the straights blue, and then all the hard turns like either white or even some of the hard turns red, to make it less maneuverable and more of a support ship. I don't see this being like a heavy attack platform that would like guarantee it like a 3-die gun slot. More of a support ship.
Yeah, I see him more like in a U-wing type of role. Yeah, pretty much.
All right. So
Which
here
falls in the medium base.
Yeah. Yeah, it has to be. I agree. It has to be a medium base for it. So, all right. So here's kind of, I'm throwing stuff into the chat so anybody that is watching can kind of follow along. So essentially what I had down is I believe that it would have 6 hull and 2 shields. So basically an 8 health ship. I felt that was kind of fair. I did give it 2 evasion dice, which is more than the lat, but I thought that was that, and we could talk through that in a minute. I gave it 2 attack dice as well. I also said it cannot have the bow tie arc. It's going to have a single rotating arc. So it will be a rotation arc, kind of like a Hawk is, right? If you put the turret on it, this one will have its own turret. So for the
Like
dial,
a native turret?
yes, it's going to have a native turret.
Okay.
So no front arc attack. It is literally just a turret that goes on there. My theory is for the dial is you would have for the red maneuvers, you're going to have 2 sloops, 1 hards and 2 hards, and a stop. Though the stop I could, go give or take on, to be perfectly honest with you. For blue maneuvers, 1 through 4 straights and 1 banks. For the white maneuvers, 2 and 3 banks. So no 3 hards in there whatsoever, no 5 straights, no 5Ks, nothing. But giving it a little bit of slooping maneuverability.
So here's an interesting theory on this one, because the way those ships deployed, right? They're all facing forward. What if, in order for them to like dock into the larger ship, they needed to have a 1 backwards, like similar to like a quad jumper?
You could do that. I would, if you got rid of the stop maneuver and maybe did that instead, I think that could be a very interesting take for it. I would like that.
Yeah.
I would run the hell out of that. You know that, right?
Yeah. Hell yeah. A 1 reverse on a medium base. Yeah, that would be awesome, actually.
All right. So I like that. So we're going to go through slots first, and then I have some configuration things that I wanted to talk about because I really like configuration things, even though nobody else likes them. I feel for slots, what we would have would be, come on, paste into the chat. All right. The slots I can see is 2 native crew slots, 1 missile slot, because I believe if you look at the pictures in the cannon, there's 2 green like missile looking things that are up there. So I believe you could put some missile slot, 1 missile slot on there, but not 2. 1 sensor slot, 2 mod slots, an illicit slot, and a tech slot. Because I want to be a little spicy with it.
Because it's so close to like the end of Republic, early Empire, I probably wouldn't give it a tech slot. Illicit definitely feels good on this particular ship because it is run by like corporate security, so it would make sense that they would have their own modifications that the Empire may not be aware of. So I definitely like having an illicit slot on it, but tech slot I don't think so. I think it's too early in the timeline for that to come out.
All right. So then maybe give it 2 illicit slots instead.
Yeah. Depending on the pilot, yeah, absolutely. I think that would be great. Yeah.
All right. For the action bar, I basically said the white actions are going to be focus, evade, coordinate, and jam. Red actions would be target lock and reinforce.
I don't know about you, George, but I think giving a 2, and this is funny coming from a fire spray player, but giving this particular support ship a reinforce on top of having 2 agility dice makes the support ship really hard to kill, I would say. I would be okay not giving it a reinforced slot.
Only the fire spray gets one.
Yes,
See, I disagree with you on that one. I think this one should get a reinforced slot.
I don't mind the reinforced. I don't mind the reinforce. What I actually do mind is I don't know about the coordinate or the jam. I think one or the other. It could either have a jam or a coordinate, but I don't know about both.
Interesting. If
Or
that
actually,
was the
don't.
case, I would give it the native jam versus a coordinate.
Actually, you can take out the target lock and force them to take a targeting computer as an upgrade.
Yeah, I thought about that, but if they ever change the points, I didn't want that. I want it, if we're gonna give it a missile slot, I want it to have a native target lock on it. I just want
Okay,
it to be
that's
red.
fair. That's
So
fair. That's fair. Okay.
now, so we have two more. We have what is the ship's ability, but we're not going to get into that yet. I didn't even post that in our show notes because I didn't want either of you to know. But the I came up with two condition cards, kind of based on the show, right? One is called On a Mission. The other one would be called Escaping Failure. Right? So basically the idea is he's on a mission, that ship's on a mission to go after Andor, right? We're coming in hot. Then some bad things happen that I won't mention for spoiler reasons. And then basically they're forced to escape and leave, which you could consider chasing, you could consider retreating, whatever floats your boat. So the idea would be is if you take the condition card, or the configuration card on a mission, it would add 3 more crew slots. So you would have a total of 5 crew slots. And hear me out on this for a reason, even on a medium base, is because in the episode they talk about 12 people, but that just seemed crazy to me. In this Lego loadout, they can fit 5 minifigures in.
That's pretty good, actually.
So now if we give them more crew slots, we got to do something else to it, right? So basically I'm also going to say while you're performing a stressful maneuver, you may perform a 1 white action from your action bar. So basically if I do a sloop, I get a free white action.
Okay.
Now, Escaping Failure would, if you equip that one, what it does is you would remove all your crew slots but one. So you could take one person. That's it. Nobody else can be on the ship for specific reasons. You would decrease the difficulty of your hard maneuvers, but only the hards, not any of the banks, nothing else. So just the 1 and 2 hards would become white again. And then while you're pursuing an enemy ship, you may reroll 1 attack dice if you're shooting at the rear of the enemy ship.
Okay.
Thematic.
Yeah. For me, I would something similar to like how you have it here. I would probably name it Rapid Deployment, and it would have a configuration card that would allow the ship to have access to a bomb slot so that we can run commandos. And the ability of that configuration is that after you execute a maneuver, if you had not dropped a commando, you may do so after you fully execute the maneuver. And the key part is fully execute. So you can't bump and launch a commando. You have to fully execute a maneuver, and then you can launch the commando forward. But it has to be straight, and it can't like do like a bendy deployment. And I think that would be like a nice little spice to that. And it will kind of be like they're trying to they're in a rush to go get somebody, so they'll like move the ship as fast as they can and then deploy their guys to go after their target.
Okay. Would there be any penalty at all for like dropping the commandos on that?
No, I think it's just the restriction of just fully executing the maneuver, and they can only deploy
Fully
straight
execute.
forward. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Makes sense.
George, any changes?
No, not at all. Like this sort of stuff is not really my. I'm not good at coming up with ideas for ships like that. This is why I'm not a game designer.
Fair enough. All right. So how about ship ability? So the idea I had for the ship ability, right, was if you it would have to do something with the turret. That was my theory. Is it has something to do with the turret, and it would allow you to rotate your turret, kind of like how Namlan does.
Yeah.
So if it gets shot at, you can rotate your turret, but it becomes like an action that forces you to take a strain token, I guess, or a deplete token.
Okay.
Or we could be a dick and give it a 7th Fleet Gunner, thing, but that just seems wrong to me.
For me, I would say ship in your firing arc within range 0 to 2. Sorry, while a friendly non-ship, um, I guess device or remote or whatever, performs an attack. If it's in your firing arc at range 0 to 2, it may re-roll one attack die. Now, the reason I specify non-ship is that I want a ship in the game to actually encourage you to use the commandos, and opens up the space to, like, maybe later on AMG develops like the probe droids that we see throughout the Galactic Civil War, for them to be like deployed out, similar to like the FO, how they have like their remotes to be deployed early on. I think that would be a really like spicy addition along the lines of like something that could be deployed from a ship or set in at the beginning of the game during setup.
I like interactions like that, specific to like certain types of like objects or like devices, things like that, because it adds to like the list building and like what the meta is currently, all of that. So it's pretty cool.
All right. Anybody have anything else before we move on to the next one? I was going to say we could do pilot cards, but I really don't, maybe we'll save that to next week or something like that. Like, some of me says it's harder to do those until the show's over with,
Exactly. That's exactly what I was going to say. Yeah.
I'm really more interested in this ship just joining the game. So. All right. Well, cool. Well, thank you. That was that kind of made sense. And like I said, hopefully that wasn't too much of a spoiler for anybody else.
Yeah. Nah, we should be good there.
All right. Well, the next one that we're going to do is we're going to spend a few minutes going through points. JJ wanted to go through some points before we got too far down the road for predictions. So I brought Yasby up. We could also do TTT, but the Yasby has all the points currently in there. So I figure what we could do is we could go faction by faction and talk about points and upgrades if we want, and then kind of go from there. I didn't know how you wanted to do that.
Yeah, JJ. I think if we just like do like quick hits throughout the factions, we should be able to get them done fairly quickly here. So we'll start off with the Rebels, since they're the first one there on Yasby. For me, the ship that I think that needs to be adjusted the most here is probably the Y-Wings. I think that there are going to be a few Y-Wings that probably should go down to 3 points to kind of mirror how the Republic currently has them. They have a lot less utility than the Resistance ones, I should say. Than the Resistance ones have. So the ones that I'm looking at specifically, probably Yvonne Berlin will probably be a good candidate. We don't see much of Yvonne Berlin being used. The other one would be Horton Salm, which is a really great, would be a really great filler ship if you're running multiple ships. I could easily see that being a 3-point list or 3-point card. And you can also adjust their loadout values so that way you don't overload them with missiles or anything like that. Because honestly, they could just use like a turret and they'll be fine. And that way you're not giving them like a ton of attack dice. But they could still be really good ships to add in as filler there. And then going to something that the Rebellion doesn't have is a 2-point ship. My prime candidate for it would probably be a generic Z95, or even probably Derek Clivian again as a 2-pointer in the A-Wing. I mean, his ability is basically blank, and I think that he would be at least a decent ship. Now, I understand he's a 3 agility ship, but he's definitely a great objective getter. And those would be like my candidates for like something that could be affected for points changes. Any ships for you guys in mind?
Well, the first thing I would say is you cannot have a 2-point A-Wing. I'm just going to state it. You cannot have a 2-point A-Wing. It's not going to happen. You're never going to get that. That was a mistake they already made. They're not going to make that again.
Okay.
I actually don't know if I would give them a 2-point ship at all. To be perfect, you can have a 2-point TIE fighter, and it can be. Oh, they don't even have a generic.
I think the Z's make sense for 2 points. I think that's fine. They don't have much on them. They're 2 dice agility.
I mean, yeah. I mean, and I wouldn't make any of the name ones like 2 points just because they're both really good in Blount and Kraken. But a generic, I mean, that's really good.
Their initiative 2, like
yeah,
or even the 1 actually. So the bandits or whatever.
Yeah, you could just give them 0 loadout and they're fine, right? You know, they're just there to just be a filler, and that's it.
So my thing, I think, is arcs should have an increase in loadout points, and one of them should go down in points. I would probably say Istaban is really the only one that can go down in points. Though I would challenge you can move all of them to 4 points if you reduce their loadout and gave them less loadout.
I would agree, except for Nora. I think Nora in Arc is probably one of the better ships for the Rebellion, just because she's very tanky. But the rest, yeah, I mean, Sharabe and Garvin can go down to 4. Although, I mean, if you lower the ladder points so that way Garvin can't do like Perceptive Co-Pilot, or just remove the slot entirely, then yeah, he feels a lot more fair.
Yeah, so for me, that was the arcs are very iconic, and in both factions, nobody really runs them. And I just feel that I feel it would be beneficial to have 1 or 2 of them at 4 points. You don't even have to do all of them at 4 if you don't want to. So, Fang fighters, obviously, I think all the Fang fighters should go down 1 point.
Yeah,
and
I agree with that.
I even think Fen should go down 1 point.
Yeah, there's no point of using Fen right now when you can just use Luke Skywalker.
Yeah,
like I don't see that. Like, even though I do have a list with Fen, but I don't like it.
Really, I mean, I'll say that I had said before the Gauntlet fighters I think are overpriced, but I don't know what you do, because once you start moving things to 6 points, you can start creating a hellscape.
Yeah.
And then I also think so Jan Ors can stay where Jan Ors is, because I hate Jan Ors with a passion. I think Kyle Katarn could go down a point. And I have never seen anybody ever fly Rogue Garnet ever.
Yeah, and you know the ability. Yeah, you get to move somebody up to I7 to shoot. I don't know if that's necessarily good in this meta. I mean, yeah, I suppose you can load out like a really heavy, like low initiative ship and have them shoot first, but I mean, there's nothing really that I think would be broken like that.
Squad tactics, let's go.
No, it lets you engage in initiative 7. You can't squad tactics it.
Oh, damn it.
Yeah,
no, but I think the problem is the same thing. Like cost, like 6 points. I'm gonna put Luke Skywalker in there. Like, why would I put this thing in there? I think what they should do is remove the ability to take the title on some of them to reduce the cost.
That's fine. I like that.
So
Jan cannot be 5. You cannot have that, Nick. That's not going to happen.
I will actually agree with Nick Sperry. Jan is a 5, as long as she cannot use Moldy Crow.
Yeah, that's super strong. The title's what makes it strong, but
yeah,
again, it's just 3 agility. Sorry, 3 hull, 2 shield.
Yeah,
it's gonna go down.
Yeah, but I don't think Jan Ors' ability should be 5 points with that Moldy Crow. That's really good.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else for Rebel before we move to Empire?
No. Go ahead with Empire.
All right. For me and Empire, the Gauntlet, Gar Saxon should just immediately go down to 7. You can keep your loadout points, go to 7. Like, just I don't even understand. I don't understand it. Don't get it. I don't know. I just don't see why they do that. I would like this is going to be horrible. I would like um Marque Steel to go down to 4 points. I
Um,
nobody's gonna want that to happen. I
are
flew Steel tonight and then did nothing with him and lost him, but I ended up with 9 objective points before I lost him. So it wasn't the end of the world, but still, it
yeah,
was. If he was at 4 points, you would feel less like you have to kind of move around and try not to joust with him.
yeah. It's difficult to make great or at least effective use of Merrick Steel without having a lot of support with like a coordinator, because they don't have like that token economy like the rebels have or like some of the other factions have. So he always finds himself token starved, and unless he's getting coordinated a target lock or a focus, Merrick Steel just doesn't quite hit as good without having all that extra stuff.
Yep.
And then I guess really the only other, like the other thing that I don't know, I would like to see these Reapers change a little bit. Um, I don't know.
Up or down?
I
What,
hate
increase the
saying
cost?
what load
Increase the cost?
I don't know. I really don't like saying to increase the cost on them because I think 5 becomes a little bit too much.
Yeah.
But giving them 2 4 points ships at that price point is pretty good. And I think it all depends on what they do with the Jingoists and everything else. You might be able to leave them if you start moving TIE fighters around. Because obviously, to me, the Jingoist should go up to 3 points, no questions asked. I would leave Wampa where he's at, and because I really like that they've utilized Wampa. Though I like my Night Beast a little bit better. But I don't know. Today my Wampa shot 3 dice almost every turn, so only one time did he get shot. Nobody else shot at him. And then I don't know. So like this one I could go either way. I really hate making them 5 points, to be perfectly honest with you. But I think if you want to fix some of the Vader TIE Swarm stuff, you move them to 5, or we're gonna have to fix the cost of the ties to make that better. Because 2 Jingoists are just insane at 4 points. Just off the chart. And then the last, I always keep saying this, the TIE heavies, I feel the TIE heavy should come back down in price again. Maybe not all of them, but give me a couple of these at a lower cost, back down to 4.
Which okay,
Yeah.
so do you think that Leighton is better or worse than Rampage?
I think Leighton is better, but that's me.
Okay.
Because
So would you lower Rampage down lower than Leighton then?
yeah, yes, yeah, probably.
Okay.
I maybe Leighton doesn't. I mean, to me, I think the generics go down to 4 points, and then Rampage can go to 4 points.
Okay.
So
I want that
yeah.
Rampage. I want this TIE heavy to be like looked at as a substitute for that Reaper, because I like flying these ships. Like that's my favorite like ship to fly. And then the last one I have is Iden. Iden should go up a point, just flat off. She can keep everything else, but go up a point.
Fair.
I think she's fine.
All right, I disagree with you.
It's the Jingoists. They're the problem.
So for me, I think my pick here for the Empire would be Vagabond in the TIE Striker. I would argue that he's worth 3 points. He is an Initiative 2 pilot, and yes, he's a bomber, but he only has 4 hull, and currently with his loadout value, he doesn't have much in terms of points to really protect himself. He can pop really, really easy
Who?
with Vagabond in the TIE Striker.
Gotcha.
I think that he is probably the only candidate for the TIE Striker that would be worth going down to 3 points. mainly because, again, low initiative, doesn't have much in terms of defense. Yes, he does have 2 agility, but that could easily get burned down, especially if you have an like 2 unlucky crits onto that ship, and it could just burn down really fast. I don't see that being worth 4 points. I think that's a candidate to go down to 3.
I don't know. Do you want to give a 3 dice gun?
At initiative 2, that could be initiative killed. Yeah, sure. Why not?
All right.
I would consider it. I'm not 100% sold on that either, though.
And then
I like your take. I'm not disagreeing, but it would be. I could see that being an auto include then, basically on your list.
Now, the other spicy one, Wreck, Rear Admiral Chernu in the Decimator. We're not seeing a lot of him because he has 8 points. I think that in order for him to see play more than Morna or Oiken, he does need to come back down to 7. I mean, I think that to make him more viable, just keeping him at 8 points right now, he's never going to see play or hardly ever see any play. I think 7 would be a better spot for him. I would probably take out a few points, maybe give him 23 loadout value instead of 26, to just reduce some of the options that you could put on an initiative 5 decimator. But I think that he needs some love.
I don't agree. That free eyeball to a crit is pretty good. That's pretty good ability.
But remember, we're in a jam meta right now, right? So it's so easy to jam these ships, especially if they don't have any reposition. So you put a chaff cloud in front of him or a ship that can do jam actions, and good luck getting your reinforce. You're not getting any passive mods there, you know?
All right, George, what about you?
Me? I want to see my boy Sunterfell go down in point, please.
Woo. All right, I forgot about that. Yes. Yep. I'm in the same boat.
Okay. So if he's 5, would you also consider bringing down Gideon Hask down to 5 as well?
Gideon.
He's the one that if
he
he's
is
shooting
5
a damaged defender
in the interceptor.
Oh, he is 5. I thought he was 6.
Yeah.
No. Okay. All right. So I misread it. Never mind.
They changed him, I believe, last one.
Okay. All right.
No, it was Sienna. No, you know what? Now I don't know. But no, he is 5 with 12 loadout.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, give me Gideon and Sincere together. 10 points. All right. Give me an ace meta.
Oof. Yeah.
I love me some Sincere though.
All right.
Where's Charles?
The last thing it's a little hard for me here because I know that the ship is getting reprinted here soon. In Extended, we have the gunboat coming out here. I want to say Vendor probably belongs in the 4 category.
We're in Extended?
No, not at all. Absolutely not.
Oh my god.
0 loadout. Right. Vendor, you can have 0 loadout.
How about 5? We'll compromise in the middle. 5 pointer.
I don't know.
He's worth a quarter of your list.
No.
Come on.
Nope.
He can't even use chaff. Come on.
I don't care. That has nothing to do with it. You understand the chaff is not what, the thing for me.
Again, it's still a jam meta right now with what we have with chaff. I don't think he's going to be very good trying to get target locks consistently if people are jamming him. No. And he can't turn around easily.
No, I don't like. He can turn around. He can slam.
Yeah, but that's a really big U. You're not going to get right behind somebody once you do that big U.
Okay. I'm not for bringing Vendor down. I'd rather them. No, I want to just see what when they reprint it. How about this? They are not going to touch Extended. So unless they add something to Extended, they're going to ignore that.
He's coming into Standard. The TIE Bomber and the gunboats were the 2 ships specifically.
Yeah, but not till next year. They're not going to touch it. I'll just tell you right now, they're not going to touch it. Next year they will. Because there's a probability they might change the stats on those. Okay. Because we don't have to worry about as long as they don't change the dial, they might just change the stat.
Yeah.
Okay.
So no.
I didn't even know he was 6 points. I never look at extended lists. So.
Yeah, JG just wants to run some dirty BS with him. That's the only reason he wants him at 6 points so he can run some dirty BS in Nickel City League. That's why. If you're not playing in Nickel City League, you can sign up. JG will post the link here a little bit.
Actually, they hit the capacity, so it has been officially closed at
Wow.
48 players. So yeah, that's going to be 4 teams in 2 conferences. So yeah, it's going to be a really, really interesting season 2 for NCX, and Nick Sperry being one of the captains of the teams. So it's going to be really fun this season.
All right, let's move on to Scum because I don't want to spend all night. So here for me, Maul. I'll just say it. Bring Maul's loadout down, but let's bring him down to 8 points.
Yeah, totally agree. Maul has been put in the timeout box for too long. I think that he needs to come down a point. Even though he has 3 force, I mean, he's not going to be the next boogeyman. Honestly, yes, he definitely has a lot of passive mods, but without a boost or a barrel to reposition, it's pretty hard to turn around when you're constantly bumping or getting stressed. So yeah.
And then I would say all the Fang fighters should come down a point except for Old Turok and Fen. You could probably bring Fen down to 6 points, and it would be okay if he lost some loadout. I would never want to see Old Turok at 5 points. I don't like that. I hate Old Turok's ability. I actually just don't like that ship. I think that pilot is a poor design by FFG. I really don't think he's a good design ship. But on the opposite side, I do think that all these things are like way too overpriced for their own good. Period. And here I would say Han's loadout points should go up. I think Han should get more loadout points than he has.
I think he's okay where he's at right now.
Nah. I would like to see him go up, and I would like to see him get a second or a third crew slot added. So that I can.
Wow, that's a lot.
That's aggressive right there.
I already I've been playing Han, and I've been using him with the Child and Mando, so he can have that reinforced, and it's pretty strong. He can actually survive quite a few hits.
Yeah.
All right, I'm still saying I still feel he could have some loadout up added and a crew slot added.
Sure, I'll just add Kira on there. That's fine.
No, why would you not add? Why wouldn't you get rid of Kira? I hate Kira. Ban Kira. There we go. We'll just ban Kira. But no, it would be so that we have another Supermando carrier. That's not Bosk, right? Like if I have Han that can carry Super Commandos, so fine. Even if you don't give the loadout points increase, but give him a third crew slot, to me, the Super Commandos I think could be very good on that Falcon.
That's fair.
That's what I would like to see. Other than that, I don't really have any strong opinions either which way, other than I think these rogue classes, the generics are overpriced. But
yeah, for me, for Scum, again, going back to the Y-Wings, the Scum Y-Wings don't see any play. I mean, every once in a while I see Cavill out there, but he's the only Y-Wing pilot that I see. Specifically, the pilots I would like to see go down is Drea Renthal at 3 points. Nobody's running generics.
We need more generics to go down.
Wait a minute. While a friendly non-limited ship performs an attack, if the defender is
so she works basically with generics, and since hardly anybody is running generics in their list, I mean, Drea basically has no purpose other than just to be an Initiative 3 pilot there. Same thing with Patrick. We're not seeing much of him. He'll be a good Initiative 3 pilot. Lima Kai is perfect where she is. And Ardley's Hardrassian, kind of a spicy type of bet big and win big type of pilot. But again, he's not seeing anything like that.
You're not going to see. You're not getting that at 3 points. Again, that's like, here, I'm going to change an eyeball to a crit. It's an automatic. No. That procs
but then
every
that
turn.
Works. Yeah, but it also changes any focus results on his defense down to a blank. So even if he had a focus, you basically have zero defense on that Y-wing. So that gets burned down really fast, especially with like crit chains. So I think that that could die fairly fast. I mean, sure. I mean, you can give it less loadout if you want, so that way it doesn't equip like a shield upgrade. But yeah, I think that pilot can come down to 3 without too much of a fuss.
No, I disagree. You can have Drea and Podrick. That's fine. I like Podrick. Actually, I think that would be a spicy take at 3 points, personally.
Yeah. And then giving Scum more 2-point options that they desperately need. I think the Mining Guild tie, honestly,
Yep.
Overseer Yushin, easily a 2-point ship that could be good. And I mean, or maybe even one of the generic.
Why do you want 2-point? I'm gonna ask. Why do you want 2-point ships? Like, why? Why do we need a 2-point ship in Scum?
They're honestly needed. I mean, they're ships. They're different lists that you can fill out to exactly 18 points, and then you basically can't do anything else because you don't have those 2-point options, unless of course you want to run a mobile proton bomb in the escape craft. But beyond that, I mean, a Mining Guild tie is not going to do much. It doesn't have the same dial as a regular tie, and it can burn down fairly easy.
I agree. I want a reason to use Cath Scarlet. I want a reason to use Drea. I want a reason to bring generic ships. Like, I don't need a named pilot. I just want to bring more ships on the table. To be honest, that's what I want to do.
So what we had talked about before with 2-point ships, if it's a non-swarming faction, and I would consider Scum a non-swarmy faction, I would feel that your 2-point ship can be a generic with no loadout.
Yeah, that'd be fine.
Okay.
That I can live with that. That's fine.
Yeah.
So we go back to Rebels. It cannot be A-Wings still. I am not going to grant an A-Wing at 2 point. That's just effing stupid.
Fair. But the Z95 is a perfect candidate, though.
Fine. A generic C95 at 2 points, no loadout. Merry Christmas. It's a filler ship only. I'll grant that.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else in Scum for you, George?
Nope. I was going to mention the generics, so that's already mentioned.
Yeah.
All right. Resistance. Here's where I feel out of these Y-Wings, one of them should go up, and I'm going to say Wilsa should go up to 4 points. Leave the other 2 there. That's fine. Just Wilsa needs to go up to 4 points.
And give me some love to Nabi. Some of these Resistance A-Wings need to come down. I could definitely think of at least Greer being a 3-point ship and Merle also being a 3-point ship. Those are ships that could see a little more play in Resistance and to kind of break up the staleness that the Resistance has right now with the availability of ships. I would also like to see Hamich in the Resistance transport drop down by 1 point. We're seeing a lot of Covenel and occasionally Noden, but Noden has a higher ceiling for his ability. But Hamich on the transport, I mean, the ability is not really the best, and it's easy to basically shoot down that one agility ship, and it's not going to have very much offense unless you equip a cannon to it, which you may or may not hit something.
I don't think they should go down to 3 points. Nope. I don't think so. I don't think a Resistance transport should be at 3 points. That's a lot of health for 3 points.
Well, yeah, we lower the loadout value though. On top of that,
I don't care.
Okay.
No.
Why do you hate it so much?
I just don't think it should be 3 points. I don't hate it. I actually think that pilot could get more play. People just don't want to play them. Like, I don't know. There should be 0 3-point Resistance transports. Like, if you want to put Noden at 4 points, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I could concede with that. But not no. The 3.8 health ship is nobody else has that. We're not going to start that trend.
Yeah.
I mean, unless you want to give me Seppi bombers at 2 points. There you go. Give me my bombardment drones and my I-1s at 2 points and leave their loadout alone. There you go.
I think what's your I-1? What's the name of that one?
The Bactoid.
The Bactoid. I think the back to it's because they're pipped to 2, right?
Yeah.
I would be okay with those being at 2 points.
Okay, so we're gonna keep moving on. JJ conceded. I'm not gonna concede my logistics transport. We're gonna move. We're just gonna keep moving on and ignore you. I'll mute you if I have to.
All right, unban Han for the scum
No.
Falcon.
Ooh, spicy.
No.
Okay, here's my
Spicy.
argument. Here's my argument. Okay, you can no longer score objectives on turn 1, so his deployment in the middle of the board doesn't really matter anymore. And I mean, if you keep him at his same cost right now and whatever he has right there, he's going to be about the same as a Chewie or a Ray. Actually, probably less so than a Ray. And he's a pretty decent pilot just to have for that I-6 Falcon.
Nope.
I don't see it
Nope.
being too much of a hassle.
Nope. Nope.
Why? All right,
Nope.
tell me why no. Tell me why no.
Well, first off, he's 6 points. He's an I-6 at 6 points. So we're gonna start there.
Okay,
He's an
Wedge
I-6
Antilles.
Falcon at 6 points.
Was he really? Oh my god.
Yes.
Okay, Wedge Antilles soon tier fell. And Anakin in Resistance or Republic rather. I mean,
Yeah.
there's
Sure. Then give me Ray at 6 points. I mean, you're just making an argument to say Ray at 6. Come on, Han.
I think he's fine at 6 points actually.
I
think he's fine.
No, because I don't.
With the ability that you can only use once per game.
Nope.
Yeah.
Just get rid of the ability, and you could have him at 6 points. No, I still think he should go up to 7 points. Sorry, I'm just gonna say he should be at 7 points.
Well, then
you
you
should
need to
not
raise
be
the
the-
7
one,
points. Okay, if he was at 7 points, would you consider unbanning him?
No, I want his ability removed. I'm sorry. Like, I think his ability. I actually
Okay.
agree with AMG on this one. I am not for his ability. I don't like it. I don't think it should happen.
Can't you play like It's the Resistance anyway still?
Yeah, it's still legal. Yep.
Yeah.
Not on him, but
No,
right.
of course.
But you could do it to a Falcon, and it can come in behind your list, basically.
Yeah.
sure.
It's
After 3
pricey.
turns. Yeah, and it's after 3 turns, and nobody's used it to success. So no. Get rid of Han's ability. I think Han should be a 7-point ship, no matter what, and get rid of his. He's an I-6. He should not be 6 points, and get rid of his ability. Then you can have him back in the game. And maybe next week we could redesign Han if you want next week.
Okay, cool.
Like, I'm okay with that and that discussion, but there's no way that Falcon should be 6 points at an I-6. Just like if he had the same dial and the same output as Scum Han, then we could have that conversation. But
Scum Han's
Okay.
dial is better, but the gun, right, is worse. But
yeah,
even
I
so,
don't
like
think
the
the
health,
dial's
the health
better.
is still the same.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm kind of in.
no. I would like to see 2 of these T-70s come down to 4 points.
Which one?
I would like to see Jeff Sea Striker.
Yeah, that was my
to come
candidate,
down. That one I think is an easy way to say yes, you can have that. Personally, I would like to see Kara Kun at 4 points, but I think that her ability is too good to have that. So-
Yeah, that she was kind of like my third candidate too, but yeah, just that innate daredevil ability is really good.
Yeah,
like,
it
outmaneuver
is.
people.
I think
Yeah.
if her initiative was like 3, yeah, but it's 4, and that's an ideal. Like that's a sweet spot. So
Yeah. I also
Um,
think Tubbs could come down to 4.
Yeah, Jake Stubbs was my second candidate to come down to a 4. Although I would just say a caveat of reducing his loadout to probably 6 points, and I'll be okay with it.
ouch.
Yeah, it's a little light, but
It's enough for heroic and a cannon or an astromech.
fair enough. Anything else in Resistance? Oh, Finn. There you go. There's the
Oh yeah,
that's the easy one. Finn, you are no
Bring him
longer
down.
3 points, or you no longer have any loadout. So you can keep him at 3 points and kill all loadout. Period.
Would
all
you
loadout.
You really hate him.
Oh, I do.
So hang on. So would you consider keeping him with the same loadout and same points, but he gets no crew slot? So he can't have a perceptive co-pilot, which means he can't double focus, and he basically
No.
has the talent slots. That's
Nope.
it.
I don't think that's enough.
Okay.
He's kind of a
Sorry.
big deal.
Yeah. Like at
Yes,
3
yes.
points, I say you could keep everything and just make them 4 points.
No, no. 4's
Well,
too much.
Then nobody will run. If you want Finn,
that's an auto ban right there.
okay,
Yeah,
good. I'm glad. See ya.
you put him in a deathbed there. But like, if you take away like a crew or reduce his points, I think that's fine.
I don't know. I hate Finn. I say just ban him. Like if it were up to me, I would just put him on the extended only list, and I would put Finn Gunner as well on the extended only list. That's my hot take. That is out of all the ships, that is definitely the one ship I think should just go away. Be done. Out of everybody else. So, all right, first order.
First
What
order.
do you want to see changed?
Honestly, I think First Order is one of the factions that I think is actually in a good spot overall. There's not many choices for ships that really need adjustments, other than like maybe the loadout value for the Fombers. But in terms of points, I think the First Order actually has a really good balance for their ships, where you can have a plethora of different options. The only thing that really sets them apart is just the loadout values that these ships have, and that's why we're seeing a lot of the farmers, because they can equip a lot of different options for bombs as well as the chaff. And I think that if you toy around with that, you can balance them down a bit. Or electro chaff, I would definitely be one of the top upgrades in the game that's probably going to get adjusted, so that way you can't easily fit them in a squad.
So, I don't know. I would say the problem we have here is so maybe a lot of the other stuff might be balanced, but these Fombers are unbalanced. I think you need to ban Skilled Bombardier with Chafe Cloud. Like, right? I think that has to immediately be done. And the Chafe Cloud needs to be eroded to say you cannot move before you launch it, period. Because it's a missile, not a, not a bomb specifically. So I think both those things have to be eroded. And I think you should increase Grudges points to 6 or to 5 points right there. And I think that fixes some of that. I would also say Malorus needs to go up to 4 points. And that's more
TIE Fighter Malorus.
Yep, TIE Fighter Malorus, sorry. And that's only so that we have other stuff that we can play. Like, there could be other things that we could play that we just don't need to see Malorus all the time,
Okay, that's fair. Any ships you think, or pilots you think, that would fit or would qualify for a 2-pointer for the First Order?
BA? I'm just kidding.
Actually, you know what? I've kind of been like racking my brain and considering if the Ember would be a good 4-point ship.
Ember is a 4-point ship.
I thought it was fine for some reason.
No.
Okay, never mind. I'm wrong. Yeah.
I think Von Reg should come down to 5. Just like Soontir.
I'm gonna throw the he's an I-6 pilot argument back in your face for that.
You didn't argue with me. You didn't argue with me or George on Soontir. So there you go. There's a difference between a 4 health ship and a 12 or 13 health ship.
Now with that loadout, you could make him a 6 health ship. No, sorry, a 5 health ship with regen.
How does he get regen? Oh, the
deuterium fuel cells.
Well, you could easily fix that.
He has one more health over Soontir, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
It's hard to put him down. Like, I think some of the other ones can go down for that ship, but
yeah, I would love to just see those generics come down to 4 points.
Yeah.
But I mean, I would actually run those. My favorite list that I had, just for like new players and for like just funsy stuff, was 3 of these BAs and Kylo silencer. I love running that. You didn't get almost any upgrades at all. But I love that. That was one of my favorite lists.
I think
Um,
my candidate for a 2-pointer is TN3465 on the SF fighter. He's the one where he can
what?
suffer a crit. Yeah,
No, no.
his ability allows you to suffer a crit to change one of the attack results to a crit. So he's easy to burn down, honestly.
He's in an SF. You mean the FO?
Sorry, the fighter, the regular fighter. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
So the
sorry,
answer goes
not the
back.
SF. Sorry.
We just go back to you can have a generic at 2 points and no loadout. There you go. And Pippin.
Yeah, I would give him with no loadout. But the thing is, like, if they're not willing to pip the generics, then that out of all the TIE fighter pilots, that would be the only one that I would be comfortable with at 2 points with no loadout.
I don't know. I guess. I don't. Just give me generics pipped and call it.
Yeah, that would be great. That would actually solve a lot of problems. Yeah, definitely.
Which that was our suggestion a long time ago. So
yeah.
All right. Republic. Do I dare say Hound should have to go up to 6 points? Is that like Hound and Hawk should go to 6 points? I hate saying that, but
no, they're not worth 6 points, honestly. I think that their issue is just their efficiency with their loadout values, where you can put in really, really good crew for what they have. And I think that if you strip away their loadout value down, it reduces their efficiency, and it makes it reduces the combo wing that is really common right now with the Republic, and it'll make them less effective that way. You're still dedicating a quarter of your list just to that one ship that basically just provides passive rerolls to the list, and that's about it.
Seventh Fleet.
and Seventh Fleet.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? Like, you shouldn't be able to have like a really good carrier or a really good like crew that gives you like everybody in your list like a bunch of tokens and like Satine, and also have space to fit 7th Fleet Gunner on there. Like, I think that it should be one or the other, you know. Of course you could adjust the points for those particular ships individually, but I think that it's just easier to or sorry, adjust the points for those upgrades in particular. But I think it's just easier to target these specific ships, since this is the most common like ships that we're seeing, and leave it open for, like, let's say a squad of Arc 170s that want to each take 7th Fleet Gunner. If they want to recharge it, they're going to have to take a weapons disabled token, which is going to hurt their offense pretty good. So that limits the possibility of them being able to use that. I think that's a more fair version to kind of balance that out.
Gotcha. What about any other, like the Jedis? Do we think like anything needs to change with them?
Plo Koon. Man,
Do we want to
he's
bring
the
them
one that
down?
yeah, like I want to have Plo Koon come down in the specifically in the Delta 7, not the 7B.
Yeah.
But at the same time, an Initiative 5 at 4 points kind of feels gross, especially since they already have Obi-Wan at 5 points in the Ada. I don't know. I mean, I would love to see Plo be played a little bit more, but do you then just make the other options more expensive to make him a more enticing ship to be played?
You could increase his loadout, I think, and make him more enticing. I don't know. I kind of agree with bringing him down to the 4 points. But again, all of it, the problem becomes is it is, I don't know. Like, they're not missile carriers anymore.
Yeah. And so here's my comparison, right? Like, Mace Windu is a really, really good value for 4 points. Is bringing Plo Koon, who is an initiative higher, feel like the same power level as Mace Windu?
Yeah, yes, I think so. It's one initiative more, but because his ability isn't proccing all that often.
Right. Unless you're like, sending him in with a bunch of arcs with 7th Fleet Gunner, and then you just start taking their tokens away.
Yeah, there's that too.
Oof, yeah.
But right now, nobody's bringing arcs, so
Yeah, exactly. And then, of course, the other ship that desperately needs love in the Republic, the Torrents. There definitely needs to be at least 2 or 3 pilots on those Torrents that can easily go down to 3 points, giving them some better options there, and seeing them on the board. We're not seeing them at all. I think where they're priced at right now at 4 points, you're taking a Z95 3 times or 9 times out of 10, just because the
Yeah,
Z95s have one less hull, but their abilities are just far better than the Torrents.
there's only kickback, I believe.
Yeah,
at
just
3
kick back
points.
right now, 3 and X. Yeah.
all right. And the last one is CIS. I think Django should come down 2 points, and I'm just kidding.
No. Yeah, right. I would say that Maul in the Sith Infiltrator can come down a point. Yeah, he's ultra aggressive, and there are different things you could put on him to make him effective, but he just burns down so fast with 1 agility and no reinforce. I think that he's definitely worth more of a 7 points than 8 points that he's currently at right now. And you know what? I'm okay with the Bactoid Bomber coming down to 2 points, no loadout. Be great.
I don't like that. I would say Dooku and Maul could come down in points.
Dooku is
7.
7 at 6 points.
Yep.
Okay.
Not Maul, though. Maul cannot be 6.
And 066, I think he could be a 5-pointer.
That's probably fair, because his ability is pretty much null.
Would you give him a tactical relay so he can Kraken?
Does he not have one now?
No.
Yes, then. Absolutely. And actually, you can make the argument if we're going to bring Dooku down, we could get rid of his tactical relay completely. I actually think that would be a better choice change, because that would give you a reason to bring 066.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the reason 066 exists is to kind of pair with the Vulture droid that can share the calculates, the bomber that can do the coordinate with the calculate. There's a lot of things that like we're not seeing that we could see. So,
and my biggest thing, like top priority for me, for them is, for the love of God, please give Pre Vizsla the title for the gauntlet.
He has the title. What are you talking about?
No, he does not. He cannot equip the title currently. Bo-Katan is the only pilot that can equip the title.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, that's dumb. I will also just say I think these Tri-Fighters should go down in points.
Yes.
Leave the Fearsome Predators here.
Would you do the Fearsome Predator or one of the other single pipped generics?
I would take both of these single pips and put them at 3 points.
Yeah. Okay.
I would leave the Fearsome Predators probably at 4, because I think it might become a little unbalanced. I mean, I'll tell you what, if you give me a Fearsome Predator at 3 points, though, I'm now considering taking that over a bomber. Just as an FYI.
Yeah, absolutely.
Here's a hot take. Give me one of them at 2 points. There you go. Just like everybody fucking else. Give me someone with 2 points.
At 2 points, but with 0 loadouts and no mod slots, so they can't take
absolutely not. Then nope, absolutely nobody would ever do that. And the HMPs need some love too.
Yeah. Some of the HMPs could definitely go down in points. I'm not sure about the loadout. I haven't actually run them since the last points update, so I'm not sure if their loadout values are okay to like equip them out properly. Have you either of you run any of the HMPs as of yet?
Yeah, I've ran the Geonosian a lot, and I have ran, is it 47? The one that gives the free block? I've ran 47 as well.
Yeah, I've ran that one, the Geonosian list as well. And that also reminds me of the reason why probably I would not drop Maul, because of that same reason, making him harder to kill. So, because if you stack, whatchamacallit, those magma guards or whatever, magna guards, He pretty much becomes you can make him become a Django if you really wanted to, without a boost, of course.
Yeah,
That's true.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any of the Belba labs, do you think that deserve to come down lower?
Honestly, no. I mean, I would tell you give me Grievous lower, but you know,
No,
like
hell no. Hey,
that
no.
would be a dick move.
I think they're fine at the cost that they are right now, but maybe change the loadout on the Initiative 3, the generic. Like give them a
Why?
little bit more.
Just give Watt more. Watt's an I3, same thing. I love running Watt. He was my favorite one to run.
Yeah. He can't equip the title either, right? He's just
No.
the mod. Okay.
Yep. Yeah, neither one of them get the title.
Yeah, I think Watt. If they can at least, even if they leave him at the same point cost as he is right now, they give him access to the title, I think that he will be definitely a viable option to run alternatively to Grievous.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, let's move into the final segment for tonight. What I wanted to do is we wanted to talk a little bit about Churn Zero. So last week, and I don't know why I switched off that screen. It was a mistake. We talked a little bit last week or 2 weeks ago. It was 2 weeks ago, right, guys? Was it 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, 2 weeks ago. Yeah.
We talked about essentially comparing chess and X-Wing together, which we've been doing for a little while. What I wanted to do is we want to kind of go back through that again, right? Like, so we started off with a whole bunch of different theories. We talked about middle game, opening, end game. We talked about all of the different concepts, what a material count is, what your basic concepts become. We talked about what opening theory principles are, developing your piece, controlling the center of the game, coordinating your pieces to maximize their potential, protect your king, which we kind of determined we don't really have many kings. Don't bring your queen out too early, and don't be an idiot, which was whatever, you know. That's don't fly like me with Mark Steele. How about that?
Yeah.
So then 2 weeks ago we went through and said these are the 8 principles we felt. These are the 8 principles we felt would be the part of the opening theory of X-Wing. So essentially they fit into 2 categories: setting up your your lists and your loadouts and all of that, and understanding all your interactions. And then the other piece is kind of setting up the board state for what you want to fly. So tonight, what I wanted to do is I want to go through board state rather than going through the list stuff. And then we'll cover that for the next part of the opening segment. And then we'll actually be able to move into kind of what we consider mid-game. Mid-game. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring TTS up here. And that was smart. All right, there we go. Now we got TTS. What we're going to do is we're going to kind of go through each of these different ships, or not ships, each of the different objectives, and kind of talk a little bit about opening. So George has graciously set up a crappy FO bomber list that everybody flies, and has set up the resistance list that I flew against in Michigan GT for it.
It's got your boy Finn on it.
It does. All right, so let's talk a little bit. The first thing I think we want to talk about is, so obviously we have our center objective. We want to talk about objective placement and obstacle placement, right? So those are the 2 first things. And then all of that is led into by a battle plan, right? So the battle plan that you have essentially is designed, right, for how you want to fly and what is your objective and your outcome. So tonight we're just going to go through kind of some generic things. So let's do obstacle placement first. So what we're going to do is, JJ, are you in TTT or TTS as well, or no?
I'm not able to get into TTS right now, but I can see what you guys are doing. Yeah.
All right. So go ahead, George, and grab 6 obstacles, and then you could pick which side do you want to be. Did we lose George?
Nope. I'm here. Do. I like my debris.
Good choice.
All right, which side are you picking?
I'll be on the, I guess, the FO side, I
Right
guess.
side.
Okay. All right,
Yep.
and then if you want to grab, then for me, I would like to have the gas clouds. Grab me 3 gas clouds, please. So the idea here, and like I said, we did this a little bit before, but the idea here is you have to create pathways and these different things for all of your ships, right? And so the idea here is that George has George has all these different debris clouds here, right? And his goal is to be able to grab objectives in any which way, which his list does very well, and make it so that he can have the optimum shooting ability, right? So we're
Yep.
going to give you 2 objective tokens, and I will take 2 objective tokens.
And I'm assuming you guys are doing like a setup for either assault or scramble.
So we'll start. Yep, we're going to go ahead and start with assault. So George, you can have first player, and you go ahead and set your objectives up first.
Okay. I usually put mine. Oh gosh, it's a little bit jumpy. Right about there.
All right. I will put mine right here in the center. Next.
Very good, sir.
All right. And which one are we playing?
Whichever. Assault is fine.
Yeah.
All right. So if we're playing assault, then I'm taking your other one and putting it down here.
Okay.
And so the reason I say those things, if we're playing assault, the reason I say we want to move this one down here is because I want to force his ship to come over here and either take this one, and I don't want to give him the ability to clog all the center up. So if you see here, we have 4 objectives already. I do not want to give George the ability to add this other one over here, right? Or you can't go there, or over here, or anything like that, because what that means is George can kind of put his objectives or his obstacles and his ships in a way that he can hit multiple of these objectives.
Now, I do want to ask a question for the 2 of you guys, right? So obviously here you guys have pre-made the list here. The first one here is what we in the community known as Crispy's list, which is a combination of Kylo and the TIE Whisper with 2 FO fighters and 2 Fombers. And then on the other side is a Resistance list of 3 Y-Wings, Finn, and a Chewie Falcon. Now, based on what you're seeing across the board, if you were, let's say, flying against a 3-ship list, like more large bases, would you consider doing a different setup, or are you setting it just based on what you're seeing across the board?
For me, it's based on the amount of ships we have. So if I have, I run CIS. If I'm running more than, let's say, 3 ships, then I don't mind spacing them out more. And typically, if I'm running that, I'm starting my one over here in a corner to say I'm going to plant a droid on a rock. Now, because I'm not running that, I want to put it closer to the center because I have Y-Wings that are going to kind of come through here and try to circle around and grab these points.
Okay.
So my idea would be is this Y-Wing would come here, right? And it will kind of come around in this fashion, kind of like this. And then that way I'm always getting points. And then I'm using my other ships to kind of, carry on. So for example, I don't know where Chewie is, but then Chewie's going to line up on one of these other sides so that if you're going to either go away from the objective points, or I'm going to have Chewie kind of flanking you ready for those kills.
Okay. George, what about you? Do you do a different setup for your objective placement based on what you're seeing across the board, or do you have a pretty set just according to your own list?
Usually it's dependent on the list that I'm running. So if my list, like this one, for example, um, just thinking ahead, I'm going to try to create certain lanes that I want you to go through. So I'm going to try my best to create those lanes with not just the objectives, but like the obstacles as well. So I'm placing my objectives first, obviously in a position where like I know um he's going to go to. So now my task after this is, all right, how am I going to get those obstacles to create certain lanes that I know he's going to go through and doesn't have many options.
Okay.
All right. So you go ahead and place your first obstacle. And after I told him where my Y wings are going to go.
Put that one right there between those.
Okay. So while Chris is setting up his obstacle there, did you have a particular plan in terms of like, or I'm sorry, here's a question. So after seeing obstacles being deployed, and seeing that maybe the obstacle placement is not favorable to your particular list, do you use any type of strategy to use obstacle placements to counter deploy against the objective placement?
So, I guess, I mean, a lot of my time is spent like just creating the ideal like space that I want to have, depending on the list that I'm running. But if I see that he placed an obstacle in a not so ideal place, I'm gonna make it as hard as I can with my obstacle place. Sorry, with his objective placement, I'm gonna make it as hard as I can for him on the obstacle placement, for him to kind of get access to that objective.
Okay.
All right. I placed my second one. Where do you want the third one to go?
Oh, I put this one there.
Oh, okay. Sorry. All right. So he's putting it there. What I'm then going to do is put one right here. Because what I'm doing is still creating my lanes for my Y-Wings if I want them. And I'm giving him an illusion that since he already knew my plan, it gives a little bit of the illusion if that's what I want to do, I can make that happen.
Okay.
And then the last one that we have here, put right in front of it to force him to not be able to go straight in on an angle. So the last piece is to say, I don't want to completely actually block this up because I'll probably use this lane for Chewie, or I'll use this lane for Chewie, because those are the two big open lanes.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
So there's our obstacle placement.
Yep.
Okay.
So now, again, JJ, when you were talking earlier about, hey, what is some of these different things? When we talk about the battle plan, my battle plan is already in my head what I want to do with my things, but it's loose enough that I'm not going to have to be, like, oh, I have to have Chewie over here. And it's just kind of the same way when we run the CIS stuff. Typically, I will put Jango closer to the center to go either way and Grievous on one side. That way, if I need to put Grievous and Jango together to attack something, I can, or I can move them in opposite directions. And it kind of gives a little bit of flexibility in that piece of it. With Resistance, I haven't ran a lot of Resistance, honestly. But typically what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to make sure that you have something being able to cover all these different objectives and still get maximizing your output.
Okay.
So I think are you first? You're second player. You were first player, right? So
We didn't register.
yeah, I didn't we didn't roll.
Yeah, we didn't roll. But
I'm white.
let's say
George. Let's assume George had first player.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You place your obstacles first. So
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I would bring my little guy here.
So while you're setting up your your ships here. Let's kind of tie in a little bit of um like setting up our kings, our queens, our rooks, and our knights up here. Um, for me, the FO bomber would probably qualify like a bishop type character. So does it make sense to, in this particular scenario, setting him up towards the center, or towards like the flanker so that we can come in towards the center?
Well, everybody does differently. Obviously, I'm not Crispy or Andrew
Yeah.
Cox playing this list. Um, but seeing how this list works, I'm okay with having my bombers sort of centered, but because my next position for, let's say, Dread, he's a pilot skill 3, which I'll place mine first. Would look something like this,
Okay.
basically. Because now I have different. With the maneuverability of these ships, I can go in any direction that I want, and they can close the gap pretty easily. So, depending on
Okay.
which lane I see him going through, that's where I'm probably going to go.
Okay.
See, and then here is kind of where I would put my Kai. I have no idea what initiative we're at. I think Kai goes down technically before Dread.
Yeah.
But that's where I went.
Too.
Yep.
All right. So now we're up to 4. Yep. So my 4s, which is just Scorch. Scorch kind of in the center. Again, I want to leave myself options to go into either side of the board that I can, and I also want to be close enough to like these early objectives that I can probably cap early on.
Yep. And I will place the other bomber over here to kind of say, if he's going to take all of his effort and come focus on these two, Merry Christmas. And then I'm taking my Kaz and putting my Kaz kind of over here. I probably would rotate it a little bit. Won't rotate from whatever. But
Yeah,
I would probably put Kaz over in this corner over here to kind of give a little bit of support to Kai, to kind of say, hey, where do you want me to be? And then, so now I have an option with Chewie. If I put Chewie over here, I know the probability of him coming this way with both his bombers is pretty high, if he wants to burn Chewie down. I could be neutral and put Chewie right here to go either which way. Or I could take my Chewbacca and put him all the way on top of Kaz. And put him over here. Because then that says is what I want you to do is come after these two. The only issue becomes is he's too slow to do anything. Finn's going to do nothing. But Finn does have the lane to come through here and collect this objective, then this one, pretty easily. Whereas I could take Wilsa into the same avenue, or Wilsa can kind of come up and come around. I would probably traditionally put Chewie right here. I don't know if that's right or not. Again, I haven't played a lot of Falcon play.
Yeah.
But I would probably stick it here.
Would you consider putting Chewie there just to make up for Finn's lack of mobility and kind of give him a little bit of cover until he makes it to that point?
No, yes and no. Chewie is more of an option to shoot at, but if I put Chewie and Finn together, what I get then is the ability to have one of them kill something. So if you go after Finn and try to eliminate him, Chewie gets to shoot twice. If you're gonna go after him, the only issue I have with Chewie being here is if I run Chewie this way, I'm horribly predictable where I'm gonna be here. Whereas if I run him this way, I can come in at these 2 points specifically. If I want to move him right through the center of that board. Or I could take Chewie all the way around out here and just kind of circle. This gives me one lane in if I don't come in here. Okay. So traditionally I would probably feint this way very slowly. And what I would do is bring these up to the point where I know for round 2 and 3, I'm going to get this objective and possibly this one.
Okay.
And then that forces him to come into the field and get rid of his stupid clouds.
Yeah.
And if he runs it slow through here, then we're going to be even on points. And by that point, I'm going to be able to take Chewie this way and then harden if I want to, or I can avoid the clouds. Because if he comes in with his bomber this way, I just kind of start moving Chewie away and then circling back.
Okay. So now that Chris has placed his Chewie on the board here, do you continue with your battle plan, or do you adjust according to how he's deployed his Falcon?
Well, I mostly, would have done the same thing he did. Mostly also because of Chewbacca's ability. So you kind of also want to keep him close to like your buddies in case they go down first. Chewie can trigger. But ultimately, like my game plan, the game plan with these guys doesn't really change much. I'm always going to place kind of similarly. The objectives are in a really good spot for me. I feel really good about getting these 2 objectives early game. And then the only thing, because I know he's going to lean more this way, I already know that I'm going to be using Grudge, and I'm also going to be placing my last ship, Kylo, on this edge of the board as well. Still learning how to play Kylo, to be honest. I'm not sure what the best positioning is for him. But we'll say that's good. Because I anticipate, because of the placement of the objectives, it's going to be heavy right here. So right now I'm looking at Grudge leaning more into this direct. How do you draw?
You have to click the...
Oh, here it is.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I anticipate Grudge, or sorry, yeah, that is Grudge, heading into this direction. And that would make me take Dread into this direction as well, while Malorus I am keeping more into the flanks so he can take care of that objective and possibly taking this lane here. So it's going to lean into this general area, and you can kind of see where it's going. Like Scorch would probably be open to just taking this lane and come into the battle a little bit late after Dread, or maybe even before, depending on where he does here, because I still want to contest the middle area. So Dread is going to be my cloud person if he does go into the middle area, while Grudge is going to be my cloud person trying to take care of his middle one right here, basically.
Okay. Now, Chris, knowing that you have the initiative disadvantage here when it comes to dealing with Malorus and Kylo, which is kind of like the heavier punching ships here for George's list, how aggressive do you think you would be with your ships to try to make sure that you're in a position to control those points? Would you be more aggressive to do a really fast opening maneuver to get in a better position, or will you kind of take it slow to kind of react to how he's positioning his ships?
More or less, I want to take it slow. Okay. There is some discussion about bringing Chewie in this way and then bringing him actually right through the center to contest these 2 ships, because if I force Dread or Grudge to come here, then Chewie has a lane. Okay, I don't know why that's bigger, but Chewie has a lane to go that way.
That's a thick line.
Yeah, that is a thick line.
I don't know how it's thick. I don't know why it did that, but it's
that's awesome though.
it's when I touch this thing.
Yeah, when you touch the objective. Yeah, that's so weird.
That's definitely an error. So there could be something to say about bringing Chewie in first and then bringing Finn around and Wilsa. I would also actually that's Wilsa, right? Yeah, I think that's Wilsa. To kind of contest the center here. With Kaz is always going to go slow because I have the ability to go faster if needed later on. And so against Kylo, so I'll just tell you right now, against Kylo, Kaz has got a great matchup. So you have an initiative 5, I'm an initiative 4. Until I get 5 damage cards, I'm always going to have the extra dice. Whereas this guy is not. You know, this guy's a 4, so we're evenly matched, and this is a 3. So this is the only one I have to worry about shooting at me as much with Kaz. The other ones, not so much. And Kai is here to work on ionizing your bomber, because then you cannot perform a boost.
Mm-hmm.
So the long story short is I probably would not go in fast, JJ. I would go in a little bit slower to see if he's going to take this route, kind of like what he said, or if he changes his tune and starts to come both of these bombers into here. That way, each bomber can go each way to chafe and then dump proxies.
Okay.
And that's why some of me needs to get this Chewbacca in here, or at minimum get this Chewbacca around here, so that way it isn't. My guess is I would take Chewbacca this way, though, because this is where all the action's going to be at.
Okay. That's fair.
And Finn's going to have to get there as fast as possible. So,
I mean, to be honest, I wouldn't even bring Finn into the fight. Like, I would just have him cruise around over here on the first objective, so that you always have that, and then not have to worry. That's kind of Finn's job, to be honest. And if it was the one where you grab crates, that's also his job. Grabbing crates.
Yes, if we were playing grabbing the crates, that would be the same thing. My setup would be a lot different, though.
Yeah.
I would not have Chewie right here. We would have started with Finn right here. And then I would have had this Wilsa over here, and then I would have put my Chewbacca over here. And then that way you're either going to come after my objective getters, or you're going to come after Chewbacca. And if you line your other ships up over here, Chewbacca is just 3-harding and boosting all day long and running away from you.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that was great for that particular scenario. Now, if you don't mind, we can actually probably do like a recreation of the battle that I had with George back in the last Galaxies tournament. I added the list in the Discord, so if you guys want to load up this list. And let's do scramble the transmission scenario, and let's kind of like walk through just so we can see if there's any differences in how we would set up in that particular scenario with those two different archetypes.
We're gonna start over here. Delete.
Yeah, you could just trash the lists. Now, for those who are not familiar with the list, I'll kind of run them down here. For George's list, he has a CIS list that has Jango Fett in the Fire Spray. There's also General Grievous in the Belba Lab and a bombardment drone, as well as 2 vultures. One of them is the Doofus droid, and then a standard Separatist vulture. For Scum, it's going to be a 3-ship list. One of them is Boba Fett and the Fire Spray. The other one is Eamon Azaman in the Fire Spray. And then to finish off that list, Kanan Jarrus in the HWK, the Hawk, for those ships. Now, we're just going to load just the basic ships here. No fancy loadouts or anything. We're doing it mainly just to show the setup here for turn 0 for these ships here. And we'll get those set up here for you guys.
What obstacles did you use, George? The large ones?
Yeah.
All right.
Same ones. I usually stick with the same obstacles. It does depend on the list. Sometimes bringing gas clouds is good.
Not if you're gonna land.
Now I know Chris is very familiar with my start out, so we'll go through this here. So let's say, just for the sake of for time, let's say that Chris had the initiative here, and we're going to do scrambled transmission. So just 3 objective points, 1 for each here. Chris can go ahead and place his first one.
Okay, your turn.
Right.
You have
So I see that
Kira.
I saw you guys similarly place the objectives on each other's side, pretty much equal to each other. Any particular reason or like strategy why you would put it like in that particular area?
So for me, the reason I'm putting his up closer is because I want my ships to be able to engage on these 2 sides, and that if he really wants to leave a ship over here to grab that objective, he's more than welcome to. I will try my best to force the rock placement to not be there or in between these 2. So,
Okay. What about
but
you, Josh?
I like mine up here to say I have a harder time taking those with that list with Boba Eamon. So, being able to take 2 or have 2 in my area that can be taken is pretty good.
For me, there's really no strat. I don't really have a particular reason why I do things on scramble. I just kind of keep everything sort of even, and then I let my objectives do most of the plan. Like, that's my setup, is the planning. Not so much objectives for this, but rock
The
placement.
obstacle appointment. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So Chris, go ahead and deploy your first rock.
Oh, why you do that? That's my favorite.
I know, that's why I took it. I run the same bloody list. And what it does is so here, let me explain to you. It forces you, it stops you from putting 2 droids or 1 droid to catch 2 of these.
Mhm.
And it forces you to come farther off of that rock so that you're not obstructed anymore for when I shoot you for this objective. So you can sit on here. I will let you sit there. But you're going to come farther off of it. And you're not going to go straight up the center.
Now,
do I get Kira? This
Yes,
all depends on if I have Kira. Too.
You do have Kira. Yes, absolutely. Okay. Now, here's a follow-up question to that, Chris. Now, if he didn't have droids, would you have placed that in a different spot?
Yes.
Okay.
Cool. Yes, 100%. Yes. I would not. I would. Him having droids, I have to stop some of that. The ability here. Now I have a little droid too because I'm even with Kira, so
yeah,
I have a little bit different of an ability than before. But yes, I would not have started with that one. I would have left that one for 3rd placement. There you go. So I would have, if he could not land on them, I would have picked one of these other rocks to begin with and not left the fact, because you could still 5K through that or 5 straight through this, right? To get to that objective. And then you're only stressed. Whereas if I put a rock there, you're not going to go through that obstacle because that is a possible 2 damage.
Yeah. All right. So it's your rock placement, Chris.
And there's a second one. Look, he's doing everything for me. I don't even have to put a rock there.
Still gotta fly.
I got Kira. I'm gonna go through that rock. That was my next placement. Was going to be right here, just so you know.
Sounds good. I'm just placing rocks so I can park on them. That's all I'm doing.
We know.
So in this
You're a dirty
particular
droid
list
player.
here, you're prioritizing the placement of the rocks specifically to tailor to your droids for this one.
Yep.
Okay.
So this one right here, number 2, is because I can basically just park them here, and I have range for 2, basically
Okay.
2 objectives. Um, yeah, he pretty much, that's a good range. Check range, check range. The droid's in the middle.
Yep. I think
Yep.
actually, if you think you could almost go over there, but I'm not sure.
And
Nope, you lose it.
had he not like placed this rock, for instance, like this asteroid would have gone here, basically.
Yeah.
So, so that sort of prevented that from happening. But at the same time, I'm okay with that, because now, you're creating lanes still, and lanes is also what I want, because I need you to go through a predictive path. So like Boba and not Boba, sorry, Django. This is Daddy.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right. So let's go to deployment now for your list here. Now, I believe Kane and Jarrus would be the first one to deploy
Nope.
since Chris
Oh,
is the initiative.
was I first player?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm probably putting him right here.
Hmm.
Okay. Now you're all your 3s.
Yeah, and my 3s are pretty straightforward. So put them in a spot where I can easily get to the middle of that rock that I told you about. That's probably where I'll place him. My other guy, he is going. You know what? I'm actually okay with parking him in the middle. He's probably going to go island hopping here. So a couple rounds, I would park him. My idea is to park him here first, and then when I come off, like, I can at least still grab that. He slowed me down just a little bit. And then the bomber, I would put him there.
All right. And then your initiative 4, Chris.
Well, I guess it all depends. I'll probably put him right there. You got to put your Grievous. Well, that made all of that easy.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason I put Grievous there. I want Grievous to be wherever Kanan is going to be. Reason for that is because I know he's going to partner up Kanan with somebody, whether it be Boba or Iman. That ship, he's technically, if I know this list, I think the way that I would fly is Kanan and somebody, one of these guys, just partner up, being fairly close to each other, or close enough, anyways. And the reason why I put Grievous there is because it doesn't really matter where I place Grievous, because there's always going to be one ship that's going to be placed after Grievous. So I put him there, so then I could bring in Django and put him in the same spot and challenge Boba's placement as well.
Interesting. Okay.
Yep. So what I would do in my initial take off is keep Django going forward, and then make Grievous kind of faint, see where he's going first, and then if he keeps going straight, I don't know what he's doing with the email, and that's the thing. So I think my planning with Grievous is just see what he's going to do first, and then plan around that. So I couldn't really do anything with Grievous with
So
his I5.
so you would say that in your approach, you're a little more passive in setting up your drones to park, as well as how fast you move with Django and Grievous, just to react to your opponent.
Yeah, I'm most likely going to slow roll this because I'm not going to get into the fight immediately with my droids on objectives like this.
Okay.
Um, because it still takes an action to grab these things. So I'm waiting to see what he's going to do first so that I can place my droids in ideal spots where they're not just going to get blown up to bits. So whether or not I go on that rock, even though I place my droid there, that's still up to me to decide if that's his final placement where he's going.
Okay. And what about you, Chris? Prior to Django's placement, what were your thoughts? Were you placing Boba just to face off against
Yeah.
Grievous, and that's why you placed him on that side?
It's because he has 4 ships here. I get 4 rerolls. I'm gonna be able to
Yeah,
come in and Chafe Cloud and get 4 rerolls. 3 because before Django.
nice. Okay.
So
Yeah.
where if I were running this list, I would have Grievous over here. Just personally, that's how I would use Grievous with this setup because I got to place him after Eamon. I would have probably put Django here or here. And then what I would have done with Grievous is I would have 5 straighted, boosted, puts me up here, and probably a little bit back here. I think that's a 5 straight. And then depending on where Eamon goes is depending on what I do with Grievous. Because then I can either cut hard in, or I can use Grievous as bait against Eamon. And if Eamon wants to do nothing but attack Grievous, whatever. You're probably not going to kill him. And you're going to get one good engagement, and then Grievous is going to just kind of run away. That's going to be his goal.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But with the way this is set up, I'm bringing Eamon in. I'm 3 banking Eamon, target locking this rock to make you think I'm going to come through here. And then I'm going to 1 bank, take that objective. And again, unless you did 4 or 5 straight. So if you really did just your 2 straight here, to put you right here with these, I'm coming in aggressive to grab that objective. So if you do come in, you're going to have long ball shots against them. And I've got a free objective. I don't even care about this one now.
Yeah, but seeing you, it's going to take you a couple turns there. So by the time you end up like here, I'm already adjusting with my separatist drone to head in this direction. To eventually, if I know he's going to be left alone, yeah, you can sling uh, a mine in this direction. I don't know what sort of or seismics. You have seismics.
Seismics, yeah.
But yeah, that's doing 1 damage.
I got
So unless you
proxies
want to
too.
shoot him,
Yeah.
proxies. I would stay far enough away. The seismics is what's more danger to my droids, but I have bombs too. So like if you really did want to bring in Boba can't re-roll whatever bombs they're gonna do. So
Yep.
that's also my thinking of bringing in my bombardment drone and Django Fett in to joust you, and then Grievous is just kind of doing his little dance of like maybe one hard, and then see where the final placement is going to be before he decides where he wants to go. The reason why I didn't put him here in this particular setup was again because I knew that there was going to be a similar. Kanan was going to buddy up with somebody, and then if I had kept Grievous, the danger with placing Grievous here, I've ran into this situation plenty of times. Yes, he has an objective, but the objective point is not going to matter as much as a dead ship. So like if Grievous only captures 1 objective and you've killed my bombardment drone, that's not a good trade in my opinion. So that was
Okay.
my thinking.
Yeah, I think that's pretty good. I like that. I like to hear both of your sides' strategy for it. The other part is, of course, making sure that you don't 4K Eamon off the board. Um, uh, yeah, that happened in our fight, man. Gosh, I'll never
I'm
forget that.
That's crazy. Yeah, so technically, I probably would not want to joust you right here. I would probably come in with Kanan behind, and then I'd do the same thing with Boba, and then depending on how fast she would go would depend on whether I kind of come back in. Because with
Yeah.
the ability to shoot out both sides, I could just go through this center here. And then
you
I
have
could put
veteran tail gunner, right?
Yeah.
On Boba. So
Yeah.
makes sense.
He's kind of incentivized to go into the heart of the formation and start
Yeah.
shooting.
I'm better off to let Kanan float around on this side and bring Boba this way. And then that make your Jango start chasing my Boba. Like, I honestly think here, Boba gets a slight advantage over Jango. And that's only because I get to move first, and I get the rerolls. But if you can get your bombardment drone up here really quickly, he's going to be sad. He'll be very sad.
Yeah. And that's why I typically I bring him in. I want my opponents in particular to take shots at Django first, because I'm more confident Django will live through the first, initiative contact than a bombardment drone. That's a bombardment drone can blow up just with 2 ships firing at it. It's even 1, depending on it. Like if it's a Jedi, he can pop. So.
And the other reason to bring Boba on this angle here is because this is kind of where my Shafe Cloud can be.
Yep.
Though the only issue I have is I like my Shafe Cloud to be blown up by what's his face here. But
you throw a seismic towards it?
I yes, that was kind of my.
That's fine.
That was what I had been doing. Is launching the Shafe Cloud to strip the tokens and then bringing Eamon in back behind it to blow it up.
Yeah.
More than one time, because I can hit 3 of these fuckers. That's 3 free damage, and that's not even blowing the Shafe Cloud up. And if it's about to disappear anyway, then I just got rid of all that cover for it. So,
all right. I think that was definitely really great to see you guys, your points of view for setting up these this turn 0 for both these lists. I think it was very informative.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you all so much for joining us tonight. We will be back next week at 9 p.m. Eastern to either talk about points, and if we haven't gotten a points update, we will be definitely covering the next phase, our mid game, our ship list building. For objective play and understanding how lists are built and all of those fancy dancy doodads. With that being said, if you have not subscribed yet, follow us on YouTube, here on Twitch, or you can subscribe to us on our Podbean or whatever podcast catcher you use. Have a good night, everyone.